there's that image, that photograph of Stephen Hawking, and he's sitting there in his wheelchair, and there's like a
Yeah.
big blow up of Marilyn Monroe behind him.
Oh, really? I don't know that
You
one.
seen that? It's
No.
kind of like a a stark image, But you just think about that, like in one sense, we all become invalid in some way or another. Our bodies are limited, and as we grow old, they become still more limited. But the desires don't necessarily go away. They stay with us. They might even get stronger.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's like you think, well, I'm getting older, so the desires are still there
The
because they're
desires
in.
fade with the body.
Yeah, unless you're cultivating like this is illusion.
Yeah.
This will not give me what I want. This is a baited hook. Unless you're cultivating that as you grow old, as the ceiling lowers for your sense enjoyment too. You can't eat as much. You can't go to that Italian restaurant and eat as much as you want. Or you're a little bit conscious of what the food you're eating and you want to eat less. So as you cultivate knowledge, it sort of lowers that threshold and you physically can't enjoy as much. And then all of a sudden it's like you're frustrated. That's why people take these and as their body weakens, and therefore you have a whole industry of plastic surgery, of hair transplants, of you know uh, Viagra, because people want to enjoy the senses, but the ceiling has lowered tremendously.
Mm.
How sad that is, huh?
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. This is episode, boom, 1600.
That's right.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Walk on Wednesday. Walk on Wednesday is when we bring somebody in from our community, pick their brain for 10 minutes, and then get back to the podcast. But before we do that, Miss Mara is here. Hey, Mara.
Good morning.
How are you, Mara?
I'm good, thanks.
Miss Mara made a wonderful kitchery yesterday.
Glad you liked it.
I did like it.
Um,
Like I'm going to eat that all week.
you usually never eat leftovers.
I eat
He wants you to
kitchery.
make it every day throughout.
Yeah, no, fresh batch.
No, there's like a gallon left.
Mm.
Okay.
All right. We have a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting tonight at Bhakti Garden in Philadelphia. It's online and in person, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then also this Sunday is the Urban Devi via the Bhakti Center. It's 11 to 12:30, and you go to bhakticenter.org, and then go to their online programs and click on Urban Devi. And the topic is increasing your taste for japa
Ooh.
with Nanda Nandana Devi Dasi.
Nandana.
Yeah, it's a
Remember
great name.
Nandana from Boston, Raghu?
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
That's who's doing that leading that class.
That's right.
Yeah. She hosts a YouTube channel called Inform Yourself, where she shares practical insights into the practice of Bhakti Yoga.
She's great. Nandana, she came on tour with Shelter when we were all
Wow.
brahmacharis. We had a bus filled with like brand new people into Bhakti and into hardcore, and I'd give class to them in 1993. Yes, Henry knows.
Wow.
We had a bus, like a school bus, converted to sort of like we're going to live in this bus. And so then we traveled around with them. Then we had a van that the band was in, except for me. And then we had a girls' van.
Hold it.
Yeah.
You had your own special vehicle?
Well, I was in the bus with all the new bhaktas.
Okay.
I was training them up. What do you think I was in the?
I don't know.
I was in a stretch Cadillac.
Singers do have the tendency to become divas, Raghunath. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was slumming it out with the bhaktas.
Okay.
And then we'd pull over at the show and we'd bust out a giant what do they call it, candy stove, and just make kitchery, and we distributed it at the show. And that was the girls' van. We called the Scooby van. And yeah, that was 1993. Henry remembers that tour. That was a great tour. That was the Shelter 108 tour around America. It's like 3 months of pure devotional service, 25 people on the road, 25 devotees on the road. Whew, the good old days, Kaustubha.
Yeah.
Let's bring on Verity is our Walk on Wednesday today. Hey, Verity, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's like afternoon for me, so
Oh, that's right. You're in Berlin?
yeah, Berlin.
All right. But you're not from Berlin. You're Australian?
I'm from England.
From England.
You're from
Yeah.
England. Let me get that. Sorry about that.
No worries.
All right. Kaustubha, why don't you lead this
Sure.
one?
Well, we met Verity this past January at the Govardhan Village, and she took part in the Light on Wisdom training there. And Verity was just like an ideal student, like with someone that just is fully attentive, and I felt like everything was clicking with you, Verity. Like as we were going through all this, in some ways it was a bit, there's a lot to learn there. There was a lot of information, some of it's subtle, and you just seem to have a fascination for it and just really plugged into it.
Yeah. Well, I think there was two sides to it because it was my first time in a bhakti in real life environment.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to the podcast before, felt a lot of affinity for it, wasn't telling me I needed to renounce anything, aligned with my belief that I, have a higher purpose. And just so many things had already clicked, but there were two sides to the training that I loved. One was around being around the devotees, like some people on the call now, everyone just took you as you are. And yeah, I could just have really interesting conversations. And the environment was just really joyful because everyone was engaged in service, and you could just actively see people trying to apply the principles and become better.
When you first pulled into the Govardhan Village and you saw it, what did you think of the place?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite overwhelming for me because it was as I said, my first time in the bhakti environment.
Yeah.
So, but I was immediately at ease. The chief, he took me on a guided tour pretty much this morning. You know what I mean? Everyone was just patiently explaining everything, and just honestly, strangers just so happy to see me. It was really
The
nice.
chief is like the mayor. He's like, welcome to our village. He takes on that role. And so you were already listening to the podcast. You were an other out there that we didn't know exist. You showed up at the wisdom training at the Govardhan Village. And so you basically knew us or what we were about, but we didn't really know you. And you just sort of you slid right in like an old pro, and like you've been around, even though it is like walking into sort of Hare Krishna Disneyland at that Govardhan Village.
Yeah, but I had I just felt like part of this community within a community, and it was so enlivening. I felt like I was kind of walking on air because we started off and ended the day with your talks and the kirtan, and you just really brought the culture and what I'd been hearing about alive. And then everything else wasn't so alien because I felt like I kind of knew you from the show, and just kind of the theory into reality. So it was really interesting, I suppose. And it tasted so sweet. I miss it, honestly.
You're coming back next year, though, right?
Yeah, already coming back next year. My wife will.
That's part of the reason why we brought Verity on, is because we're kind of announcing that the registration is up on the website now for the 2026 Light on Wisdom training at the Govardhan Village. Mara, do you know the dates on that? Is it January?
January 11th through the 23rd.
Oh, that's early in the year, huh?
It's one day earlier than last year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I suppose there's several aspects of what makes this special. There's the study, and then there's the friendships, and then there's just the atmosphere itself in the Govardhan Village itself. What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, do you know what? One thing that you both said was just take it as an experiment, right? So first, japa walks in the morning. What's the best way to start the day, to be honest? But now I always felt really uncomfortable at the beginning, but now I'm wearing my bee bag everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And it's so beautiful how Raghunath Swami's just brought Vrindavan Forest to this place. The energy was just, so sweet and loving, really. But for me, the wisdom training was just blowing my mind every day. I just felt it's interesting as an adult to want to go to a class, voluntarily go to a class.
Right. I want to go to school today.
yeah, but like,
And how did you get into bhakti in the first place?
I was, yeah, I mean, I was like grazing from the spiritual buffet for many years. So like I did
Okay.
Reiki training, and I was always into yoga, and I was doing a lot of Kundalini yoga. And then actually a friend of my wife's, Kamasha Jones, who's a student of yours, Raghunath, back I think quite a while ago,
Okay.
put her onto it, and yeah, just started listening to the podcast, and I just really, yeah, I guess it's like it's so overwhelming, right? All the information. So I just wanted a way to understand it, and that's what the classes brought me, really. Like Kaustubha was dropping bombs every day. Like at the end of class, it was like a cliffhanger.
Right.
That you just wanted to get right back to it. But yeah, it was just like the answers to some of my deepest questions, and those I didn't really know existed. And it just, yeah, felt really, really profound to like have those realizations of the soul being unlocked, but like just to learn, just to have a framework to understand like this wealth of knowledge, because it is quite overwhelming and complex, you know.
Mm. Well, you shine bright like a gem yourself.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to seeing you in January, if not sooner.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so
Maybe
much,
you could
Verity.
come to Italy. Are you is that a possibility?
I can't, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
I have a
Great to
day
see you.
job, and I use up all my time in India. But
Now,
yeah, I'll be there in India.
now you're a
All right.
DJ by profession, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've been DJing my whole life, and then in the like, I stopped drinking. Like, obviously, it's a very social environment, right? And
Yes.
I just stopped drinking in around like 8 years ago, and then always was just in that environment, just kind of taking from it the more spiritual side, I guess. Like I feel like people when they go to a club, they're looking for something. Maybe they don't know what it is, but like they have this
Right.
connection on the dance floor. And then in the last few years, been playing at like, so I would say they call them sober events, but there are spiritual elements. But I mean, God is definitely missing. But a lot of the other elements are there. There's a lot of incense going on.
I
Your
was
day
wondering
job is
how.
all day job is all night long.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Imagine a day DJ in the daytime, just like DJing and everyone dancing. It
what I
wouldn't be
do
the same.
every
It
in the
wouldn't be
week.
that's
Yeah,
what she does.
yeah.
in the daytime you do it?
In Berlin, it's very 24 hours here.
Those 24 hours. All right. All right.
Interesting. I was wondering how the experience of the Light on Wisdom training after going back home after that, and how the experience carried into your work life.
Yeah, I actually put my work life at even more of an like an opposite of where I want to be. Not that DJ side.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
I have two jobs. I'm a DJ, but I also have like a corporate day job. So it
Okay.
kind of like made me realize that the corporate day job like is quite far away from where I am spiritually. But then I think Raghunath said something interesting, which was like we need good leaders, right? So I'm just trying to bring just I guess the principles of being a good person into
Mm.
how I live in work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
If you really got something to share and some principles to live by, suddenly your workplace, which seemed completely disconnected in the past, can be a place where you practice and you're contemplative, and your awareness stays where you want it to be.
yeah, especially just like when you work for a large company and everyone is just talking on email or in meetings, it's so impersonal, and you don't have like, it can get quite, we call them keyboard warriors, right? You can get quite disconnected from the fact that you're talking to another human. You just
Right.
see some,
Right.
a skill set. So yeah, it's nice to bring that kind of humanity into it.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Verity. Well, it was great to meet you this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon
Thank you for your service.
for
Yeah, you
more
can
adventures. Thank you
for
for
giving me
yours.
something to aspire to, and to Mara as well, and Linda and Jiva, everyone. Thank you for your service.
Okay, great. So again, that's Wisdom Sages Wisdom Training this January, and the dates are the 11th through the 23rd. That's my birthday, Kaustubha. We're starting on my birthday.
Wow.
And guess what birthday it is for me?
60.
Boom! Gonna blow your mind.
Okay.
60, my friend.
Shall we begin celebrating now?
Sure. I'll call it
Honoring you?
birthday 6 month. And you know what?
What?
I had my 50th birthday at the Go Over on Eco Village too. And just like that, a decade's gone.
Just like that.
And just like that, it'll be the 70th one. And just like that, you'll be burying me at the Go Over on Eco Village. You can
Just like that.
All right,
Maybe
Krishna.
even this year. Let's see.
Maybe.
I didn't mean bury me now.
I'm still living. Yeah, you got to wait till I die before you bury me.
Okay.
All right. Bhagavatam time, sir. Narayanam namaskrityanam chaivanaratamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before we start in the Shrimat Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmidatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes. With a torchlight of knowledge, I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Shrimat Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 19, Text 16.
That's right. We're picking up from yesterday, huh?
Yep, today's verses are about the moment when you finally wake up.
Oh,
Right? So we're dealing with King Yayāti. Spent thousands of years chasing pleasures, youth, beauty, sex, power. But none of it filled the hole in the heart. He went through stress, embarrassment, humiliation. And just like all of us do in this world, right? We become frustrated. And eventually it hit him. This is empty. You ever get to that place, Kaustubha?
It's empty.
You just go, it's empty. It's like, and now, I always use this mantra. Mara, you know it. Now what? Right? That's the mantra. It's like, I did it. I went there. I did that. I kissed that. I embraced that. I drank that. I snuffed that. I snorted this. I ate that. There used to be a saying when we were little, I can't believe I ate the whole thing. It's like, I did it. I consumed it all. Now what? Still not fulfilled inside. This is the ongoing, perpetual desire that never gets fulfilled. And it addresses it, how to do it. And so people naturally just say, you know what? Well, I'm just going to stop consumption. Or another people say, you just got to consume moderately. But we say something completely different. You got to pivot and say everything here is for God, because it's not just about being balanced. It's not just about being mindful. It's about every action is an offering to God. Everything I'm doing is an offering to God. And that's where we find our deep-rooted connection. Then you don't have to worry about indulgence, because indulgence, generally speaking, is not an offering to God. It's an offering to your unrestricted senses.
All right.
What do you think? What you think?
I'm into it. So we have King Yayati. He's speaking to his wife, Devyani. He's ready to let go. And I think he's just saying to her, you can let go too, Let's both let go.
Yeah. All right. Let's dive into that awakening.
Okay. Text number?
Text 16.
16.
For those who are too attached to material enjoyment, sense gratification. Oh, this is so good already, isn't it? I didn't even finish it. For those who are too attached to material enjoyment, sense gratification is very difficult to give up. Right? We'll constantly think of reasons to endorse it. Oh, no, it's good. Keep going. You got to go deeper into it. For those who are too attached to material enjoyment, sense gratification is very difficult to give up, even when one is an invalid because of old age. One cannot give up such desires for sense gratification. Yeah. Therefore, one who actually desires happiness must give up such unsatisfied desires, which are the cause of all tribulations.
You know what that just reminded me of somehow? There's that image, that photograph of Stephen Hawking, and he's sitting there in his wheelchair, and there's like a big blow up of Marilyn Monroe behind him.
Oh, really? I don't know that one.
You seen that? It's
No.
kind of like a a stark image, But you just think about that, like in one sense, we all become invalid in some way or another. Our bodies are limited, and as we grow old, they become still more limited. But the desires don't necessarily go away. They stay with us. They might even get stronger.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's like you think, well, I'm getting older, so the desires are still there.
The
'cause they're
desires fade with the body.
Yeah, unless you're cultivating, like, this is illusion.
Yeah.
This will not give me what I want. This is a baited hook. Unless you're cultivating that, as you grow old, as the ceiling lowers for your sense enjoyment too, you can't eat as much. You can't go to that Italian restaurant and eat as much as you want, or you're a little bit conscious of what the food you're eating, and you want to eat less. So as you cultivate knowledge, it sort of lowers that threshold, and you physically can't enjoy as much. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're frustrated. That's why people take these, and as their body weakens, and therefore you have a whole industry of plastic surgery, of hair transplants, of Viagra, because people want to enjoy the senses, but the ceiling has lowered tremendously. How sad that is, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the picture of Stephen Hawkins and
I
Marilyn
don't think that
Monroe.
was the one I was thinking of, but that's interesting.
Maybe he's just got that in his office.
Maybe the one that I'm picturing, if I remember correctly, he's like on a stage and there's like a whole big blow up of her behind him. But in any case, it still captures
Maybe he has lots of pictures of Marilyn Monroe.
maybe it's just
And maybe he's
really
just
into Marilyn Monroe.
in that wheelchair, frustrated.
Well, that's
with
my
material
point.
Existence.
I honestly, I'm not even commenting on him at all, but just the idea that we can be stuck in a body that's incapable of enjoying on the level that we desire, and just how frustrating that is. And that's what happens in old age if you're not cultivating this idea of letting go.
Hey, let's not forget Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe had a beautiful body, had a young body, was connected with John F. Kennedy and, Joe DiMaggio.
Okay.
And she couldn't enjoy enough because material desires never end. Even when you do have a facility to enjoy the material world, it's never enough. Whether you're an invalid and you can't enjoy, or whether you have the facility to enjoy, it's still never enough.
Yeah. Well, hers was a tragic story, Raghu.
You got some other info?
Well, I mean, she died young, and I think she was exploited in different ways, But rather than go there, let's go to this commentary. This is kind of Prabhupada's dirty old man commentary. He's like saying, learn to let go. Otherwise, you're in this very embarrassing situation.
Especially at our age. Anybody like in my age category, once you start, putting on a lust or throwing lust twist in your conversation, you're what we consider a dirty old man.
All right. You want to read it?
Yeah. This text 16 commentary. We have actually seen, especially in Western countries, men who have reached more than 80 years of age still go to nightclubs and pay heavy fees to drink wine and associate with women. Yeah, even younger, but still old. Although such men are too old to enjoy anything, their desires have not ceased. Time deteriorates even the body itself, which is the medium for all sensual satisfaction. But even when a man becomes old and invalid, his desires are strong enough to dictate that he go here and there to satisfy the desires of his senses. How pathetic, huh?
It's sad. It will be us if we're not.
We're already there. It is us. If we want to go there, it's us. Don't think we're not an old men.
Okay.
What are you saying? You not,
Well, I mean, us. I'm talking about all of us. I'm talking about our whole
old women too.
Everyone. Yeah,
Okay.
women too.
You got a little bit more time, Mara, before you're an old woman.
There is a sense of, of comedy when an old person is trying to be young. Like that's the way you can just get people to laugh, right? If you want to, when old people are trying to look young. Sometimes you see, I just saw it the other day. You know, it's like this famous rock star making a comeback. You know, he's got to be
The guy from the Rolling Stones, the singer of the Rolling Stones.
the Stone. Yeah, those guys are.
He's got a new young wife, and he is, 80, but he's starting to. He always somehow, like, beat old age,
Yeah.
Mick Jagger.
But it
You know,
still catches up.
But now it's actually caught up, and you can just
But even
see him
that is
walking in.
kind of like we look and say, well, look, he's got a beautiful young girlfriend, and but you know his moment to moment humiliations in life. You know, you can imagine that they're there, right?
Yeah.
You know, trying to be young when you're old. The guy that I saw is David Lee Roth. You know, and he's got like
Oh, I
this
saw that.
leather outfit on, and he's trying to bust
Tight
back into
leather-
the
tight
Yeah,
leather
tight
outfit.
leather. And
Yeah.
it's just it is comical, you know.
Well, I'm pretty pathetic and comical. I do an occasional reunion tour with youth of today, and I'm
You're
a
not pathetic.
59-year-old gentleman.
But you're not putting on like a sexual bravado kind of.
Oh, I am. I am. It's just
Or
not
maybe
translating.
you're trying, Raghunath, but
I'm really trying to put that out there, but the people aren't going for it.
that's what you've been trying to do all along. We just didn't realize it.
Look, he's young.
Okay, but let's continue with this comedy. Prabhupada's hidden. This is important. We all need to hear this stuff.
Okay, this is Yamuna. He's going to quote Yamunacharya.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Therefore, by the practice of bhakti yoga, one should give up his lusty desires, as explained by Yamunacharya. When one is Krishna conscious, he gets more and more happiness by discharging duties for Krishna. It's really true. Such a person spits on sense gratification, like, ugh, especially for sexual enjoyment. An experienced advanced devotee is no longer interested in sex life. The strong desire for sex can be subdued by advancement in Krishna consciousness. I heard this comedian the other day while I was mowing the lawn. It was so Krishna conscious what he was saying. He's like, what was his name? Desmond Bishop. And he just said, let's face it, everybody. Sexuality is disgusting. Sex is disgusting. And then everyone laughed, and he just said, well, think about it. I'm walking into a nightclub. If someone sneezes near me, I'm disgusted by them. If someone sweats on top of me, I'm disgusted by them. But there's somehow like a glaze over sex. It's the same thing. It's spitting, it's sneezing, it's wet, it's smelly. And yet we think, oh, this is great. Until a moment after it's over, then it's like, I got to get in the shower.
You know, that's one level, you know.
Yes.
But
What I think Yamunacharya means by this is not like it's necessarily disgusting like that, but when you're in a high level of spiritual consciousness, anytime you do something for selfishness, like this is for my joy,
Yeah.
which isn't joy, it's for my sense gratification, it cheats you out of that high vibe you're feeling in service, in love, in devotion. Not that we recoil because, oh, I don't like women or I become a misogynist. It's when you're acting in high level service to the Lord, you feel so blissful. Then it's just like it's a difference of like honoring prasadam and like eating this for my own sense pleasure. It just shifts you out of a different state of mind.
And I think I agree, and I think that's like another level, you know. And I think
You've got another level?
Well,
You've got
I
a
think-
third level?
Well, we have to hear what he's saying. Like, Prabhupada didn't give the full translation to this verse, but he says, you know, Yada vadhi mama cheta Krishna padartha vinde nava rasa. He's saying that, you know, since my mind has become focused on the lotus feet of Krishna, since my mind has been focused on Krishna, and you know, that implies Krishna's beautiful form, Krishna's beautiful pastimes, right? And in those pastimes, there's the expressions of pure love without a drop of selfishness in its most absolutely perfectly beautiful manifestation. And then he says, Nava rasa, since I've been focused my mind on Krishna, I'm tasting newer and newer tastes, Nava rasa.
Mhm.
I'm tasting something very special. I'm understanding what love is. And so then when I think of the artificial fake love of this world,
Yeah.
which is expressed commonly through sex, men are looking at women and want to have, and you do this act of love, but rather than what's happening in Krishna's Leela, where it's like pure hearts, acting out of love, we imitate it. And he's saying, I've been imitating Krishna all along. He was a king, Yamunacharya. So he had opulence,
right.
many women, and he was saying, I was stepping in as if I were Krishna, right? The supreme enjoyer. Without the purity of heart that he has. I was acting as if I were the center of the universe and I were capable of reciprocating with the love of so many. But really, I was just full of selfish desire. I was taking the most pure and beautiful thing and just trying to act it out without the love. And I think that's what really gets right to the heart of it, is he's saying, when I think of myself being so, I suppose you could say hypocritical, right? Acting as if I love when I don't.
Right.
And imitating Krishna's Leela, which is, it's the Adi Rasa, it's like the original love. I'm imitating the original love with my fake love, which is just full of selfishness. That goes right to the heart, and he feels this. It says, his lip curls and he spits at the thought, right? I think that's where it's really going. So there's this, there's this kind of deeper, I remember I once saw that film, I think it was called Angela's Ashes. Was that right? Angela's Ashes?
You read the book?
Mary read the book?
I did, by Frank McCourt.
That's right. And, that's about him growing up in Ireland, and he's got like the church's influence is like super strong, and he's like, what, he's becoming a teenager, and he's like full of lust, and just, but he's being told, if you act out on it, you will go to hell forever, and it's like, why, why does God give us these desires and then ban us from acting out on them? And here it's not so much like you're going to go to hell forever, but it's trying to elevate your understanding of there is such a thing as like physical intimacy or the acts of love, erotic love even, in a spiritual perspective that is like this original divine expression of love. And it's not just that we're going to go to hell forever, and you can't do it in your band because you're not God. But the idea is that in your natural state, you're meant to be in some form or another expressing love eternally in its highest level and experiencing the highest bliss of that. And rather than connecting with the origin of all that, you've turned away from it and tried to take that role. And you have this false imitation of it where without the actual love. And so try to understand that, and control your senses as a part of a practice whereby you regain that divine love. Not just like, don't do it because it's bad and you'll go to hell, but like, no, there's a practice here of elevating your awareness and re-entering that Leela. So, there's a higher thing to it. And Prabhupada is saying here is that, learn to let go, try to see it. That's why it said, by meditating on the Rasa Leela, one can let go of all of their lust, because you see this higher manifestation of love, and you begin to realize just how pale your imitation of it is. And
It's
so,
iron and gold, my friend.
yeah, iron and gold.
Right? They both appear the same. If you were to close your eyes to touch them, you might not be able to tell the difference. One has value, and one is just a
One
simple,
gets all rusty.
simple metal.
Yeah.
All right.
Now
So let's
we go a little deeper here in text 17.
text 17 is, one should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat. Now, these are one of those extreme ones. One should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat, even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex.
Yeah, so
I want to hear you explain this one.
Well, I agree that it sounds extreme, but you have to understand, if we really want to understand this, we need to see it through the lens of sex addiction psychology.
Mm.
you know, and then it makes sense. Look at his life, right?
Yeah.
He was sexually addicted, you know, and people that battle, you know, like serious addictions, and who are in recovery,
They have to draw a line in the
they draw
sand.
very strict
I don't do
boundaries.
that. I don't do that. I don't
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's because he understands his own vulnerability. He's like saying, you know, this is who I am. I'm a guy that's, you know, been, you know, sexually addicted for so long. You draw strict boundaries. And so I
Mm.
think that's what he's expressing here. You know, certainly we see within Vedic culture plenty of men who are sitting on the same seats as their mother or their daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's giving this, you know, from his perspective, he's saying one needs to be very careful. And the fact is, we say this is so strict, but just statistically, we see that this happens all the time. Right?
Yeah.
That men lose control of themselves.
Yeah.
It's not an uncommon thing. It's a quite common thing, unfortunately.
No, are you kidding? It's like, this is what pornography is. People are just out of control with it, and it gets them into hot water, it gets them in debt, it gets them addicted, it gets them, you know, breaking commitments, it gets them always meditating on it as well.
Yeah.
And it's not just a little thing. It is super duper common.
We were discussing yesterday, you know, like how Yayati could be saying, you know, my name is King Yayati. I'm a sex addict.
Yeah.
Hello, King Yayati.
Well, welcome. We love
And,
you.
you know, let me tell you.
Thank you for sharing.
Let me tell you where my addiction has led me. You know, it had me going to my own sons who I love, right? And telling them, I've become an old man now and I want you to take, due to my own folly. You know, I was told by the sage, you know, you can have my beautiful daughter as your wife, but don't sleep with this other woman, you know? And then I went ahead and I did anyway, right? Even though I agreed to it, I broke my word. I broke the word to my wife. I had sex with this other woman. I suffered because of it. I was cursed because of it. And now I've been cursed to have this old body, but I'm still so addicted
Sure.
that I'm asking you to take my old age. And I'm shamelessly asking you to take my old age for you to suffer for my mistake so that I can go on with my sex addiction. You know, it's kind of like someone that's got like a gambling addiction, like, you know, using the life savings that they have with their family and blowing it on the Jets game, and you know, and then having to come back to them and say, I'm sorry, and everybody's looking at them like, why did you do that?
Yeah, they live a whole life in secrecy. I mean, anybody who's met or experienced or been in addiction, it's a life of secrets. It's a life of lying. It's a life of lying to the people that you love most.
Yeah.
It's a life of like humiliation and shame,
Right.
and doing things that a sober person would be like, "Are you crazy?
Right.
Are you?" You can go to jail for that. You can lose your family for that. You're going to lose everything for that. And they've carefully created a whole second secretive life.
Right. And so when people do this most horrible activity of like sexually abusing even one of their own relatives, yeah, everybody looks at him like, are you sick? What's the matter with you? And it's like, yes, I am sick. Right. I can't control myself. And so I think it's through that lens that we can kind of see this. He's suffered a lot, and he's embarrassed himself, he's humiliated himself, and he's hurt people that are very close to him. And so he's laying out these really strict guidelines. But you know what this reminds me of, Raghunath?
What?
Is and it connects a little to what you were saying earlier, but we see in the Bhagavatam's showing us these pictures for us to learn from. And it's always shown, you know, here are kings that had great opulence, power, influence, wealth, sexual enjoyment, all the things that we strive for. And it's always showing how it becomes empty and then you walk away. It's in a sense, it's saying that this is what the universe is. It's you pursue satisfaction separate from Krishna, and the story always goes the same. It sours at a certain point, even if It's thrilling for a while. It sours at a certain point. You feel the emptiness and you renounce. And it begins with the very first person in the universe, Brahma. Like if we go back to the third canto, remember, there's such an
Yeah.
interesting chapter. I think it's the 12th chapter, where it describes how he's the creation of Brahma. He's the first living being, right? Even before that, it describes he's born on the lotus that grows from the navel of Vishnu. And now Brahma is that person who, of all living beings within the universe, if we had to pick, there are innumerable living beings in the universe. It's like beyond billions and trillions and gazillions and Googles and what, it's just like we don't have numbers that go that high. And if you picked one of them who has the greatest ability to adjust the external world for his own enjoyment, to shift the environment to facilitate his happiness in the material world, it would be Brahma, the creator. He's got practically unlimited intelligence and ability to shift things. And we see even he, from the moment that he's born in darkness and confusion, right? And that's, we hear about how he's climbing down the lotus stem and wondering, where am I? What is this? And then we see that once he's got things together and he's connected with Vishnu and he knows his mission in life, which is to create progeny, fill up that universe, the first sons that he creates are the four Kumaras, which he creates through his own meditation. And, he's feeling affection for them, and he's feeling like, I have a mission they will join my mission. They will, certainly the sons who I love so much will follow my instructions and do as I say and take up my noble mission.
Every father's felt this. And then, we got our own agenda.
And right off the bat, he has this disappointment. His first sons refuse to follow his plan, right? The four Kumars say, you know what, Dad, we're looking at at this material world and we can understand that it's a place of entanglement. Once you get married and have kids, it just gets more entangling. We want to focus on transcending this world. So we're just going to stay in little boys' bodies and never procreate. And he feels a deep sense of disappointment in his own children, right off the bat, Brahma himself, right? And then he becomes angry at them, right? So now he's gone from confusion to disappointment to anger. From his anger, Shiva is born, right? And he gives Shiva, okay, you create. And Shiva creates like all of these beings, but they're wild and crazy and destructive. And it's said that like they wanted to devour the world, And so now it's like he's lost control and he's feeling fear. He's become afraid of what his own creation has unleashed. And then it gets even darker, because it describes that he creates this woman, Vak, the goddess Vak. Mm-hmm. And his creation is so beautiful and enchanting that he becomes attracted to her, his own daughter, and he chases after her. And then his sons, all these different sages, Marichi, they all come to him and say, what are you doing?
Father, what's going on?
Father, yeah, what is going on? Now he's feeling the deepest shame and humiliation. And then he actually it's said that he gives up his own body, like he commits a kind of a suicide, the commentators say it was like he gave up his mind, like he gave up his mental conditioning in a sense. And it's said that floated in the atmosphere like a dark cloud, so in a sense he went through confusion, disappointment, anger, fear, lust, humiliation, and then ultimately renunciation. And that is what the first living being in the universe goes through. And in a sense, it's what we're all going through one way or another. Now King Yayati is going through it. The sooner that we can hear, elevating knowledge and really take it in. And what we're seeing here is like, it's his moment of awakening. Moments of awakening are they're worth studying. They're worth trying to understand, and it's really what we're aiming for in life is, when do I awaken? When do I say, you know what, all this stuff really makes a lot of sense, and I kind of identify with it, and I see it as my culture, and these are my people, and this is my practice. But when do we come to the point where we're saying, no more. From this day on, I change. I'm taking another path. That's what we're seeing Yayati go through right now. And in a sense that the humiliation that he's gone through, his response now is no more. And so he's thrown down these heavy, the extreme kind of boundaries in his life. But I think it's born from his awakening and a reaction to his addiction.
Well, like the great saint and philosopher William Idol, also known as Billy Idol.
Oh, yes.
He said, I drank every bottle. It didn't quench my thirst.
Is this from a song?
I don't know.
Okay,
Tim
I should
O'Reilly
pull it.
put it on the board. I drank probably from a song. I drank every bottle. It didn't quench my thirst. I loved 1,000 women. It only made things worse.
Wow.
William
Thank
Idol.
you, William.
It's great.
He also said,
line.
it's a nice day for a white wedding.
There you go. It's a nice day
Is that what he said? It's
for
a
a
nice
white
day.
wedding. Come on. He also said, come on.
He was also dancing with himself. See, and that says a
Get
lot.
it? You don't need someone else to dance. You can just dance with yourself. That's all I got. Actually, I've got the whole Gen X album that I love. All right. I love Billy Idol. Whew.
Did you?
The Generation
how
X
did you
record?
love it?
Come on.
The first Generation X record, yes.
Wild youth.
They were a very creative band, actually. By the time he became Billy Idol, I kind of lost interest.
Yeah, me too. All right.
All right.
Text 18. I've spent a full 1,000 years enjoying sense gratification, yet my desire to enjoy such pleasures increases daily. Billy Idol
There you go. And King Yayati.
and King Yayati. What do Billy Idol and King Yayati have in common?
Deep realizations.
Therefore, I shall now give up all these desires and meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
That's
Well,
what,
maybe
that's
that's
the
where the
distinction.
road forks. There.
Yeah, that's the fork in the road.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Who knows? He could be in a 12-step program. He could be chanting the holy name.
I'd
Ringo
imagine
Starr.
it. I imagine.
Ringo Starr's buddies with Radha Swami.
Yeah.
You never know. These people have had so much sense gratification.
No,
they're probably,
so many of those people are in 12-step programs.
yeah, because they've just tried to, you know what I mean? It's like you have
crash.
every opportunity to fulfill your senses, and it never ends. It must be so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like you and I, it's like we don't have that much opportunities for sense. We're
We're definitely not on the Billy Idol level.
no. People aren't throwing themselves at us.
Fortunately.
Yeah, it is fortunate.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Free from
the dualities of mental concoction and free from false prestige, I shall wander in the forest with the animals.
He's walking away. He's taking sannyas. Stop thinking about Billy Idol. Or I
trying to
see
think.
you're trapped.
One who knows that material happiness, whether good or bad, in this life or in the next, on this planet or in the heavenly planets, is temporary and useless.
Mm.
It's not like it's evil. It's just temporary. Come on, use your head. It just is temporary. And that an intelligent person should not try to enjoy or even think of such things. Why? Why not think of them? Because that makes you want to do them.
You're right, trapped in the cycle again.
You're trapped in the cycle. Don't even think about it. Don't even go there with the mind.
Take your mind somewhere else.
Right? Pornography, we were saying earlier, it's a meditation.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a meditation. Even think of such things. One who does this is the knower of the self. Such a self-realized person knows quite well that material happiness is the very cause of continued material existence and forgetfulness of one's own constitutional position.
Okay.
That's everything you need to know right here. This is like a key to the universe has dropped right on our lap. What are we going to do with it? We could take this seriously and just hold on to it and run all the way home, or you could take this piece of valuable gold, precious metal, and just throw it in the trash. If we take text 20 seriously, our whole life changes.
It does. That was his, at least the last words that we have here that he speaks to his wife. I'm going to walk away from it all. But we need to understand who we are. We need to realize the self. He's saying no longer, right? Not sense gratification, self-realization. Right?
I'm going to read this again. This is important. Just bear with me.
All right.
One who knows that material happiness, whether good or bad, in this life or in the next, on this planet or even in the heavenly planets, is temporary and useless. And that an intelligent person should not try to enjoy or even think of such things. That person is the knower of the self. Such a self-realized person knows quite well that material happiness is the very cause of continued material existence and forgetfulness of one's own constitutional position.
Constitutional position. That's what we're meant to wake up
Good
to.
night, everyone. Thank you.
Mic drop.
Right? This is...
We can do two things right now, Raghu. We can end here, or we could read the next.
I thought you were going to say we could embrace sense gratification or step away from it.
That's there too. We got from 21 to 29. We could read all these verses and conclude the chapter, but we won't be able to do that if we don't just read straight through. But it might be a good thing
You
to
know
do.
what? These are good to sort of ponder. Let's take it slow. Let's wind it up here. Mara's got some good takeaways.
Okay.
She won't be rushing me to get off the show like she does every day. We'll take our time. I say take the balanced approach, Kaustubha. Slow is the new fast.
Well, thank you for that, Raghunath.
Miss Mara,
Yes.
you're not throwing yourself at me. No one is.
Takeaways?
Yeah.
Stop chasing pleasure and wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Chief
Make every action an offering to God.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this one. Indulgence is just an offering to our unrestricted senses.
Indulgence is just an offering to her.
Yeah. Instead of offering
Instead of
to
offering
the
it
Lord, we offer
Yeah.
to our senses. It's got to
Yeah.
serve someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all become an invalid sooner or later, but the desires don't fade.
Stephen Hawking right there.
Mm.
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe.
Cultivate knowledge that desires are just a baited hook.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis Presley, too.
Wow, Elvis.
Poor Elvis, you know? The thing is, these people who have so much good karma, so much opportunity to enjoy, it's almost like worse. It is. Okay.
It sours if you pursue enjoyment separately from Krishna.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I'm not so, I'm not a total knockout.
Not a total knockout. I mean, you are incredibly sexy and handsome.
That's what it sounded like that, but I didn't mean it like that. I mean, I'm a knockout, but not like a total knockout.
That mustache is looking very good.
Yes, a mustache, very alluring, right?
Yeah.
Especially
My
when there's no
point is-
food
Turning
stuck in
heads
it.
everywhere.
All right, continue on.
Even Lord Brahmā goes through lust, humiliation, and anger, just like us.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
When do we awaken and say no more?
No more. You had that song, right? No more.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
more. No more, Kaustubha.
Right,
I can no longer be the sex symbol I have been for my entire life. I've got to let that go.
Material happiness is temporary. Don't keep meditating on it.
Let it go.
Meditate.
And
Don't meditate on
just like Billy Idol and King Yayāti say, self-realization, not sense gratification.
it.
Billy
They
Idol.
did say that.
Thank you.
And Mick Jagger, I can't get no satisfaction, he said. Or Bono, I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Emptiness.
Kaustubha.
Emptiness.
I've been looking, I still haven't found it. He's played coliseums. He's traveled the world. Everybody knows his name. Bono. Everybody's talking about Bono.
Nobody else has his name. He's the only one.
He's the only one with that name. He can wear whatever he wants and still looks cool. And he still hasn't found it. You think, well, he found it. No, he didn't. He said it himself. Believe him. Still, thanks for Verity for joining us. And remember, boom, wisdom training is happening at the wonderful Govardhan Eco Village this year.
Yeah, you go to
Super excited about
wisdomsages.com.
wisdomsages.com and join us. Last chance to sign up for a retreat coming this next week. This weekend we have the Saber retreat, which is like sort of get the whole property ready for the Wisdom Sages retreat. It's a fun little retreat in its own right. Yeah, looking forward. All the other stuff happening at Super Soul Farm this year. Go to raghunath.yoga/SSF. Raghunath.yoga/SSF and find out what's going on. Thanks everybody for joining us live on Zoom. Get off my bang, Mara. I want to look who's here. Madhu Ma and Baby Donnie. Woo! Takurji, good to see you. Madan Gopal, Haribo. Sia Shastri, Haribo. Rini. I haven't seen Sia Shastri in a while. Have you met Sia Shastri?
Yeah, in California.
Oh, yeah. Sia Shastri. Rini Jacobs. Wait a second. Is Rini Jacobs Bright Lights mom? No. It's a different Rini. Got a lot of Rinis out there. E. Shri Sundari, Haribo. Brinkhouse G. In the Bavarian forest. Jean Rene, good morning. KCD, Jiu-Jitsu Naf, Satya Brata. Oh, all our peeps are here. A lot of Californians. You know what? Madama. She posted a good song she wrote. She's a very talented songwriter, Madama.
I'm going to be reaching out to her, by the way. She was sending this.
Are you? Oh, look, Stromboli's here. Hey, Stromboli G. Good to see you the other day. The wedding. The white wedding. What's the famous Generation X song?
Generation X?
Yeah.
This one's, I'm slipping my mind.
Oh.
Kiss Me Deadly.
Kiss me deadly tonight. I was like, no, won't do that. Well,
that one about Elvis
what did I say
and
earlier?
King Kong or
totally,
something.
What did I say? I'm not a total knockout.
Not a total knockout. You're just like extremely attractive, but not, or let's say very
totally
attractive. It's very attractive, but not extremely attractive.